Hi everyone, it's Chris Sarra here from the Stronger Smarter Institute. There's been so much talk lately about the need to cut parents' welfare payments to make Aboriginal children go to school. It is such an ineffective and dishonourable policy process, and one that deserves thinking about differently. It's one that invests this amount of dollars that gets this amount of return. Whereas we know for sure, right across Australia, where we invest positively in relationships, we can make a difference. I wanted to just take this moment to list for you a whole range of ways of fixing school attendance for Indigenous children and for all children without having to resort to dishonourable processes where we have to contemplate cutting parents' welfare payments and making their lives harder. All of the strategies I'm going to list here today are based on one premise, and that is that we have a school that kids want to be in, where the relationships are good, that our classrooms are the kinds of places that have intellectual integrity where kids would want to turn up to each day. So how do you get kids to come to school without having to think about the need to cut parents' welfare payments? Here's a start. Firstly, as school principals, let's get outside the school gate and let's have conversations with Aboriginal parents, and let's explain that it's actually against the law to not send your kids to school. If we had the courage to have these conversations and exercise the processes associated with them, then we wouldn't be in the circumstances where government had to spend millions and millions of dollars to undermine the positive relationships that we should be having with communities. So there's one strategy. Open up a dialogue with parents and explain the importance of attending school and explain that it's actually against the law. Secondly, let's open up those conversations with parents and let's make them realise the significance of just missing a day here and there. For instance, there's a school I know of in North Queensland who's done up a chart to signal the impact of just missing a day here and there. Did you know that if your child misses one day a fortnight, that's 20 days in the year? That's 4 weeks in the year. And over 13 years of schooling, at that rate, your child could miss 1.5 years of schooling. That's significant, and I don't know if our parents realise the significance of those things. So another strategy is to have those conversations and make people aware of the impact of missing a day here and there. Here's another strategy. Give every child in your school a gold pass, which signals to them that you're worthy of all of the privileges that come with having a gold pass. We use this successfully at Cherbourg. When a child has a gold pass, they get access to end-of-year trips, pizza parties and those sorts of things. If I would make a decision and throw something like that, they get access to excursions, to different play equipment at lunchtimes. Every child has a gold pass because at the start of the year we say they're worthy. And their role is to demonstrate behaviour to retain that gold pass. And part of demonstrating that behaviour is attending regularly. So have a think about that one. Another strategy is explicitly rewarding those children who are turning up to school every day. It's so easy to miss them if we're so intent on assuming that so many children are disengaged from schools. But if we focus on the good behaviour that we like to see, that is attending regularly, let's make sure that those rewards are identified and directed to those kids who are turning up daily. The impact of that, and I know this, having seen it myself, is if you've got large numbers of kids who are chronically disengaged, they're attracted to those sorts of rewards, and more children attend school more regularly. I'm not lying to you. I've seen this with my own eyes. And of course, with that, it is about an extrinsic kind of motivator, but it's got to be executed simultaneously with an intrinsic motivator. At the same time as we give kids extrinsic rewards, we've got to be saying to them and registering the notion of this intrinsic reward and saying, hey, can't you see that we're getting smarter when we turn up to school? When we're more days at school, we can read better, we can do our maths better. Can't you feel that? Can't you see? Let's have a look at your book. Can you see how you were at the start of the year? And look how you've progressed. So if we can have those conversations, we deploy an extrinsic motivator at the same time as an intrinsic motivator. So positive rewards for children does work. I know this for sure. Another strategy, a walking school bus. There's a school that does this every morning. They have nominated staff who just go out and they walk and they pick kids up in the neighbourhood and kids join. What this does is it sends a message to kids about it's school time. Let's join the crowd and let's get to school. Think about how much that one costs and think about the returns. Much cheaper than spending millions on cutting welfare payments. Another school strategy that I like is the notion of school cash. That is where kids demonstrate the correct behaviour or good behaviour by turning up regularly, by turning up on time. They get school cash. Now it's just play money, but if they've got enough play money, they can use that to buy access to the rewards room, they can use that to buy access to the end of year term, any of those kinds of things. What I like about this strategy is that it's particularly good for getting on top of things like kids turning up without uniform, they get cash for turning up with the right uniform. If kids are coming in at 9:10, let's have an explicit conversation about this, and let's offer cash for turning up at 10 minutes beforehand. So they get plastic cash or play money that they can use to buy access to special rewards and special privileges that we as a school can make up. Here's another strategy, and it costs nothing. There's a school I know of in a remote part of Australia that has an excellent relationship with the community and an excellent relationship with the store. And if attendance is not good enough in the morning, the store closes. Now, this principal can do this because he runs a good school. The community knows it's a good school and there's an excellent relationship with the school. Think about how much it costs to execute that strategy. Attendance in that school has been better than 94%. So have good relationships with community where you can exercise those sorts of processes. Another good strategy is thinking more about the relationship that you have with parents and offering them some reward for doing their very best to get children to school. At Sherbrooke School, at awards night at the end of the year, we would offer parents gift vouchers, bunches of flowers, something nice, something simple to say, hey, your child has been excellent, the behaviour is excellent, and we thank you. So if they had children who were away less than 5 days for the year, there was some reward for parents. Have a think about that one. It doesn't have to cost much. Here's another strategy. There's a school that I know of where when they looked at the attendance, they found that there were about 10 kids who were pretty hardcore and at risk of disengaging from school. So what did the principal do? He identified 10 people on staff to go one-to-one with those children. And their job was simply to connect with them and take an interest in their schooling. It could have been a teacher, it could have been the groundsman, the tuck shop person. I think he, as the principal, took one student on. And what they did every morning, they had to set about trying to connect with their nominated child. And when they connected with them in the morning, they would say, good morning, it's great to see you. How have you been? How was last night? How many tries did you score in football on the weekend? Did you catch any fish? Is everything okay? How's the schoolwork going? And if they're not at school, drop by and see them and say g'day. How difficult is it to execute a strategy like that? How cost effective? These are the kinds of things that nurture good relationships that are so fundamental to getting kids engaged in schooling. Here's a strategy that will cost some money, but nowhere near the amounts that we waste on bureaucrats to exercise such processes to cut people's welfare payments. If we've got money to waste on those sorts of processes, why wouldn't we spend it in remote communities? Let's employ Aboriginal people to be a part of the solution here. We don't need to spend as much money as we would in other places for bureaucrats to sit in other towns and fly in and fly out. Let's pay Aboriginal people in communities on the ground who are connected to those families who've become disengaged from schooling. Let's give them a job and say, your role is family support worker or whatever you want to call it, but your role is to connect with your family and articulate what are the challenges, what are the reasons they're staying away from school, and be engaged in a dialogue with the principal or school leaders about how we can attend to some of those challenges. Let's pay people to be the bridge between the school and the community to fix those notions of connectedness or disconnectedness. This is a much more efficient way to invest in local communities and invest in local solutions. And it makes more sense to inject more dollars into those communities so that we can get a much more effective outcome. Here's another strategy, and it's one that costs nothing, and it takes us to the very core role of principals as school leaders. Let's have explicit conversations with our teachers, and let's ask some challenging questions. Challenging, all right, but questions that have integrity. Let's have conversations about attendance, and let's say to teachers, you're paid to be in the relationship with these children. What are you doing that might be contributing to their disengagement from school? And what are the things that you might need to change? Now, as I said, this is a challenging conversation, but teachers aren't afraid of these conversations. We want to get to a point where we do have professional integrity, And there is professional integrity attached to these kinds of conversations. So let's have these conversations with teachers and get them to think more explicitly and own their part of this issue, this challenge about children becoming disengaged from schools. Let's say to them, what do you need to change so that children do become more engaged in your classroom and their relationship with you? That's another way of fixing attendance that costs nothing. Another strategy, and a very good one, is a service guarantee for children who attend for more than 90%. At Cairns West School up in North Queensland, Michael, the principal there, has extensive and explicit conversations. And what he says to parents is that a service guarantee for parents who work with the school to send their kids there for more than 90% are guaranteed that their children will be delivered to benchmark or better. And he has to work with them to be continually gathering feedback, to check that they're online, to deliver on this guarantee that they've offered. Parents have responded exceptionally well to this in what was a complex school and a complex community, but they are making a difference. Another strategy, personalised learning plans for Indigenous children in schools. In fact, it's a good thing to have personalised learning plans for all children in schools. But if Indigenous disengagement from school is a problem, then we should think more closely about this. It's a strategy executed very well in New South Wales and one that's worth thinking about. It's a strategy that involves sitting down with the parents, the school, the student, the teacher and the principal to have a conversation about what we want to achieve together for this particular child. Now in this circumstance, everybody has a say, everybody gets a chance to contemplate what their part in the relationship is and what they need to do to contribute to the success of that child, whether it's around literacy outcomes, numeracy outcomes or attendance at school. In closing, I want to emphasise the importance of relationships. We can go into the relationship with high expectations, as I've always said, but I want to emphasise the notion of relationships. We can sit back and we can say we've got high expectations and then wave a stick around and bang people on the head for not rising to the challenges that we've set out. The problem here is that we haven't invested enough in the notion of relationships. So if we have a high expectations relationship, then both of us have a vested interest and a vested say in what the outcome should be and what the high expectation should be. And if we can both do this, then there's a greater chance that we're more prepared to own our part in this challenge. So I hope this has been useful. I hope you understand that notions of cutting welfare payments to make kids go to school is an expansive program that delivers very little return. It's an approach that undermines the most profoundly, fundamentally important aspect of positive schooling and delivering success in schools, and that is the capacity to have a good relationship, a positive relationships, a high expectations relationship between schools and communities. Let's not keep going down this track. Let's insist on having a cheaper option where we can invest more positively in relationships and get this much of a return. We know this can happen because it's happening in schools all over the country. Let's do this.